Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Fantasy Football Universe. We are back today with another edition of the Divisional Superlatives, handling the AFC West today. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. Check out all of our written content, or follow us pretty much anywhere on social media, Twitter, YouTube, blah, 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 etc. Fantasy Football Universe. Give us a follow, a like, subscribe, comment, all that shit. We will answer back. As most of you have done yesterday, I didn't realize how many of you actually will comment until I said, hand in your rosters for roster audits, and I got 95 million messages. So apparently people pay attention. So we're here today doing the AFC West. I am in the middle. You could find me on social media at FF Mad Scientist. At the bottom, we've got Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05. Up top, we have live on location. I believe he is in Hollywood, just outside Joe Mama's house. That is Hollywood Jack up top. He is there. His computer is going to melt in the sun, I'm told. I believe there's some Hollywood starlets lining up behind him. So he may find himself pretty busy here. So hopefully the wife's not around. He just checked to see if the wife was around.
No, yeah, of course. We do what we can over here, but listen, if this show goes longer than 20 minutes, this computer is going to be a puddle. So
yeah, this computer's going to be a puddle. We'll try and I think these have been going.
There's a joke there that I'm not going to touch, but yeah, we're just going to move on.
Moving on. As always, the teams that had glaring spots, I put in the consensus rookie in their spot. Other than that, we pretty much just, this one was pretty easy. We have Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs, Justin Herbert for the Chargers. Those were the two easy ones. The Raiders and Broncos, I think we all agree, need a quarterback. The two most mocked players to them were Bo Nix in I believe it was the first round to the Broncos, and I believe Michael Penix Jr. was also in the first round to the Raiders. I do not disagree with either of those players in those landing spots. I feel much more comfortable with both of them going to those teams in the second round, but it appears they are both going to go in the first round. So I think this one's going to be pretty top heavy here. We're going to have a big gap between 2 and 3. It's got to be Mahomes, Herbert, and then I think it's Mahomes over Herbert for everyone in Dynasty and Redraft.
Oh,
yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so then I assume everyone's comfortable with a heavy gap between Herbert and rookie. Where do you fall here? I was originally in the Penix camp, but I have completed my last round of my little lab scores there, and Penix was actually a big faller for me, and I have Nix above him now. I believe both were slight fallers in my rankings, but Penix fell below Nix. So 1 and 2 are obvious. Where do we go here? 3 or 4? I guess Hollywood. Who do you got at 3?
Listen, we're talking about being in Southern California, so why not just go a couple hours to the west or east, rather? Got my directions mixed up, and go to Michael Penix on the Raiders. He's my QB5 over Bo Nix, but it really is going to depend on draft capital, honestly. These guys could switch pretty easily, but if these two situations hold true, it's got to be Penix. That Raiders situation is much better. I don't trust Sean Payton. He's got to build it back up from the ground. And I don't know if Bo Nix is the guy to get it to him, but with just Cortland Sutton and the ghost of the talented Greg Dulcich there, who knows what he's going to be upon his return. Give me Penix and Devontae Adams, Jesse's favorite fantasy player of all time, by a million miles.
Like I said, though, in this hypothetical on Mock Draft Database, both of these guys go in the first round into teens, which I think is ludicrous. So what do the Raiders pick? 16, 18? We're going to have 5 quarterbacks go in the top 18?
13, I think, right?
Yeah, they're like right behind the Broncos.
Fucking ludicrous.
Yeah, Broncos are 12 and Raiders are 13. Yeah. That's so hot.
So draft capital is going to be, the same for both of these guys, but that's ludicrous. What about you, Jesse? What do you got?
If the Denver Broncos take a quarterback, they need to trade up. Don't do Bo Nix. That just seems like wasted. At least with Penix, like you're kind of doing what you did. He had the Rome Odunze, who was the Devontae Adams prototype in Washington. You would put him there. He gets the actual Devontae Adams, like the real carbon copy. He gets that there. He gets a professional, like a good NFL tight end. I know we didn't see him play much, Michael Mayer. And then he has another good wide receiver, my other boy, Jacoby. The Raiders just have all the guys I like, I guess, apparently. The Broncos situation, there's not another NFL wide receiver on that roster besides Cortland. I know people love Marvin Mims, but the dude's either a 5-yard just little hitch or he's going 80 yards downfield. There's nothing in between. So yeah, I want the Raiders. Like we saw that situation. It's much better. I want nothing to do with the Broncos quarterback. Like if that's the guy, he's probably going to be late first round pick. Just no, thank you. I'm just passing that. No,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I have faith in Denver's ability to select a quarterback. After they had Peyton Manning, like they had some studs. We got Russ Wilson, Brock Osweiler, Drew Lock. Like this is a proven track record of studs here. I think if Nick's, I can't keep fucking straight face anymore.
Don't forget their previous track record of Jake Plummer and Jay Cutler, and
it gets better.
Studs before Manning
Jake
too.
Cutler was good by those standards. Fuck.
Hey, Jake Plummer wasn't bad either. I mean, he was more Arizona. He had the one good year in Denver where they lost in the playoffs. But hey, if they get that level of play of quarterback, like that's a massive improvement over what they had last year. So
that's true.
So with these landing spots, both of them going in the teens in Dynasty, are either of you taking either of these guys over Herbert? No, hey?
Oh, hell
no.
Why?
No.
Why? If you do that, just
asking. Just asking.
Retire from fantasy.
As far as redraft goes, what do we find one of these landing spots more appealing? The Raiders, probably.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Like that's just a more functional offense. Like they have, like we have NFL players that are caliber. They can step in and play. They just need a quarterback. The Broncos, I just don't know. Like their problem, maybe they get Brock Bowers. That makes it more interesting. And then if it's whoever the quarterback on the roster is, like I can't remember even who his name is. It's somebody that's blanking on there. So if they don't go Knicks, then it's like a little bit more interesting. But yeah, like they just need help, man. Their offense line's kind of in shambles too. So the Broncos seem like an offense I'm just gonna fade this year, to tell you the truth. I just don't want to invest in the Broncos offense.
And I got that name for you. It's Jarrett Stidham. And we know that Sean Payton hates rookies, right? So that's the big Sean Payton.
Stidham was good in Vegas.
But if they do draft Bo Nix, are we really putting it above Sean Payton to start Jarrett Stidham all season? It could happen.
It just seems like a disaster.
Stidham was all right in Vegas. He wasn't terrible, but if the words he uttered were that the Raiders were, what did you say? They were a better offense or a more, I forget what you said, but if you're the other team and the Raiders are the better offense, you probably shouldn't have a job as a GM.
Down the stretch, they were competitive. Like they had a good defense. It was a lot more functional. And even if they have Gardner Minshew as their quarterback, we've seen like he can at least sustain an offense. It's not the best in the world, but you can live with that.
All right, let's go to the next position. Go ahead.
I was just going to say Denver's on the Las Vegas Raiders plan. You hire the big name head coach for a massive deal. And then after a couple of years, you realize he's absolutely washed. You fire him, and then you bring in the next guy who's functional. So the Broncos are just a few years behind that plan.
Could they end up with the biggest quarterback dead cap and biggest head coach dead cap in history of the NFL all at one time? Is that possible?
It's just
elite management.
Let's move on to the running backs here. So this one's interesting because I don't know if any of these, we have two incumbents who, as of late, I've heard a lot of rumblings that the Chiefs are a sleeper to draft a running back. Yeah. The Broncos could definitely take one. But so we've got two rookies, two incumbents. We've got Pacheco for the Chiefs, Javonte Williams for the Broncos, Blake Corum goes to the Chargers, and Trey Benson goes to the Raiders. This one is pretty close for me. I think redrafting Dynasty, I probably see it the same way. I know Javonte's the oldest, but I don't really think any of these guys are old, and it doesn't really skew it for me. I think I have it ranked Pacheco, Benson, Javonte Corum. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I'll just say what happened to Zamir White. I thought it was Zamir White season. I guess not, right?
Oh, sorry. I'm under the assumption that you can put Zamir White in here. I have no belief that Zamir White is not going to get any competition. And when they draft Trey Benson, I'd rather Benson over Zamir White. You can put Zamir White if you want. I'm just
no.
I'm not going that route.
I'm trolling all those Zamir White truthers that are.
No, I know. I forgot. It's so out of my head. I've just assumed that they're wrong and they're not. It's not going to be Zamir White season that I've just completely phased him out. So
yeah, like you're bringing in Benson, who's just I think he's a better back than Zamir White. So the whole thing with these guys is like the draft capital is going to change this division up completely. Like we'll see it shift. If it stays as is, like I'll prefer Pacheco over Javonte Williams because like for some reason Sean Payton always loves that little joker in the backfield, aka Jaleel McLaughlin. Like he likes him, and he's had these guys throughout his history. When he was back with the Saints, these young guys that would catch passes. So like I worry about Javonte. Like I really don't think the upside and ceiling is there until, especially in a bad offense too. Like you're getting partial work, you're not getting all this. So I don't know. I would much rather just sell Javonte Acosta the late round, first round pick, and move on.
Yes.
So at the moment, let's say Corum lands in LA, and Pacheco doesn't get competition. I'll slightly prefer Pacheco, but they'll be real close in ranking. So I'll go Pacheco, Corum. I'll go, I guess, Javonte, then Benson, but like it depends. We'll see. Those guys are gonna be back and forth.
I should mention before
Yeah.
we get too far into it, I should mention that mock draft database, these picks were made. Benson goes to the Raiders in the 2nd. Corum goes to the Chargers in the 3rd. I don't know if that impacts your ranking at all. I have Benson higher anyways. Benson, I believe, is my RB2. Spoiler alert, I have a new RB1 when we do the rankings. Mine is Marshawn Lloyd.
Ooh.
Anyway, so does that change it for you? Benson going around ahead of Corum?
Yeah, that definitely tilts him in his favor. But like this whole situation with Corum is the offense and the landing spot. He's gonna get all the touches. I think I have Benson above my rankings, so he's probably gonna stay in my rankings. But like I'm not super like hard, like I am with Brooks. Like he's the guy I'm the most sold on. The other guys I kind of mix and match. So like I'll have Benson slightly above him in Dynasty. I might prefer Corum for this year just because I know how that's gonna go for him. But long term, Corum's older. Like I'll probably prefer Benson long term.
Yeah.
What you, Hollywood?
And like, look, Pacheco for me is the far and away one, just because I can count on the usage and I can count on the offense, right? The issue with Javonte is not talent, it's situation. And as Jesse mentioned, that offense is likely to be atrocious, whether it's Stidham or a rookie. They just don't have the pieces there. So Javonte is actually my 4 here. I'll go Pacheco, and then it's going to be really close if these end up being the landing spots. I'll slightly prefer Trey Benson here, but it's super close there between Benson and Corum. We know Corum is going to get plenty of looks with his old college coach and Jim Harbaugh, and we know that Gus Edwards should not be handling more than 200 touches like he did last year, although he managed to mostly stay healthy. So for me, Pacheco, Benson, Corum right there neck and neck, and then Javonte significantly lower. We know Sean Payton is a wild man. The offense is terrible, and Jaleel McLaughlin and Samaje Perine, and they might draft someone else. So who knows?
Yep, 100%.
How about redraft? Where do we got in redraft?
Pacheco.
I'll go same.
Sure thing.
Same?
Mm-hmm. Pacheco for sure.
And then I might actually, the more I think about it, I'm more in on Benson with the Raiders. So I probably might have him go 2. Like I might put Benson above Corum the more I think about it.
They're really close.
Yeah, I'll take just the upside with Benson, I guess.
Yeah, I think redraft for me. Redraft is a Pacheco by a mile. Obviously, that would be a lot closer if the rumors are correct and the Chiefs draft someone. But this division. Just looking at it, this could conceivably see all 4 running backs in some form of a timeshare. Or like a split committee. I mean, that pretty much fucking Jeremy over there with your bag.
Trying to save my computer here, bro.
So, like, I mean, the NFL is heading away from the bell cow back anyways, but these 4 look like they could all end up in timeshares next year. So I think I go Pacheco, Javonte, Benson, Corum, but I don't know. I'm not sure Corum doesn't lose his job. They got what, Gus there now?
Yep.
I'm not sure Corum does.
And that's it.
I think Gus does what Corum does. I think Gus is bigger at it though. So I don't know.
I don't think people understand how big of a role Pacheco had last year. He was above 60% snap share, and he had a 70+% opportunity share. Like I was getting absolutely fed in the Chiefs offense. So if he doesn't get significant competition, like he's got the highest floor and likely the highest ceiling of these guys.
And I don't think he gets significant competition, right? Aaron, you mentioned, and I think that's a good point, that Kansas City could draft a running back. But if they do, I expect it to be like a Will Shipley, right? Someone who comes in, can play the third down role. Pacheco still has the ability to catch, 40 passes, but you want that Jerick McKinnon role. And we know if the Chiefs don't draft someone, they might just bring McKinnon back again on a 1-year deal. So, I don't think there's going to be significant competition for that early down role for Pacheco.
They had just top 30 visit with Jonathan Brooks just came in, so it's very interesting to see how that'd be round 1, that just I don't know, that just seems wild to me. But they did it before CEH.
That does seem wild.
They did it 4 years ago?
Do these 3 letters of fear sway you at all on that? CEH?
What, CEH?
Brooks is so much better.
No.
I like SC's called Blake Watson.
I like Blake Watson too, but
that would be fascinating to see. Like he's gonna be late round.
That would be good.
Yeah, that'd be a big guy you stash.
All right, let's move on to wide receiver. Oh, we have more rookies in this one. Just one actually.
Oh, I wonder where I'm gonna go here.
we have Hollywood on the Chiefs, Cortland Sutton on the Broncos, Troy Franklin, I believe, going at the end of the first. No, that wouldn't make sense because the Chargers pick early, so this would be an early second round pick.
Early second. That makes sense.
Troy Franklin to the Chargers, Devontae Adams to the Raiders. You guys take a shot at that while I double check where Franklin went.
That's interesting.
I'm going to jump in on this before Jesse has a chance and just put Devontae as my wide receiver 4 in this group.
Franklin in the second round.
You're dead to me. You're dead to me.
second round, 37th overall for Troy Franklin.
Yeah. It doesn't matter where who is throwing the ball to Devontae Adams. We know that. He's just elite. Next to these guys, it's no competition. Jesse will tell you all about it, but it was like 170 plus targets that you mentioned on the show we did the other day for Devontae Adams last season. He's an absolute monster. He's still got it. I don't think he's going to lose a significant step here. So he's far and away the guy here that you want. For me, as the number 2, that's where the real conversation begins. Cortland Sutton is interesting, but we know that he was just a touchdown machine last year, and touchdowns are fluky from season to season. So I'll go Hollywood in that spot at KC at number 2 pretty significantly. And then because I really hate the situation for Sutton, I'll go Franklin 3 and Sutton 4. But those guys are close. I don't really want much to do with them in redraft. And in Dynasty, you're just hoping this would be a great landing spot for Franklin, but I don't think he gets it done year 1.
You know what's funny? I think my Dynasty rankings and my redraft rankings for this one are completely opposite. Because I go for redraft, I'm going Devontae, Hollywood, Franklin Sutton. And in Dynasty, I think I'm going Franklin, Hollywood, Adams, Sutton. Either way, Sutton's last, I guess. But yeah, I think I flipped the top 3 based on redraft or Dynasty.
Hollywood Jack not taking Hollywood as the wide receiver 1 is a bit of a mistake here, but we'll go with Devontae still.
Yeah, I'm gonna take. I mean, obviously, I'm taking Adams. We know I love Adams, but the guy I'm missing in this picture, Rashee Rice. I'm taking both Chiefs wide receivers ahead of Cortland Sutton. Trevor Franklin's a very interesting one with Herbert because he's going to play a deep threat role. He's kind of what I talked about with Marvin Mims. He's just a better version of that. He's going to either be short underneath or he's going to be playing downfield. So what's weird is they would pair him with Quentin Johnson. Like, I hate that fit with those two guys together because they do a lot of the same things. So they're going to be like, it's going to be weird. I don't like how that works out. I would want them to get a more prototypical X than Franklin because Franklin's not an X and he can't play that role. So then it's just like you got him and freaking Quentin Johnson fighting for one spot. Yeah, I don't like that fit at all. So ideally they get somebody else who fits better. But if that's the case, then it's just gonna be kind of ugly in LA. I'd go Adams and then the 2 Chiefs. Then I guess Franklin over Sutton, but like Sutton's a better. I'll take Sutton in redraft. He's just
forget better. Ugly in LA. Do we see a wide receiver 2 in this entire division? Like what? Hollywood maybe? Adams low end?
I'd prefer Rice over Hollywood because like Rice is going to get the underneath stuff. Like unless he
I forgot Rice was there. My bad. Yeah. I was assuming he was in prison, like everyone on Twitter says.
Well, we have to just talk about Rice for a second, right? Because we had Drew Davenport, you did, Aaron, on the show last week talking about it, and then this lawsuit came out with the injuries, the people who were injured in the crash, and some accounts freaked out. Drew Davenport came out on Twitter and said, this has kind of been misreported. Yeah, the lawsuit is what the lawsuit is, but this is also normal for people injured in a crash to file this level of lawsuit. So while that's an issue for Rashee Rice in his pocketbook, it's probably not an issue for the Chiefs and the league in terms of additional suspension.
For me, I put Hollywood there because I think 3 teams in this division have the same problem. Rice and Brown, I think, are both wide receiver 2s. Sutton and Mims, I think, are both 2s. Franklin and QJ, I think, are both 2s. I think Devontae Adams, as old as he is the only legit alpha receiver in this division. I think the rest are all wide receiver 2s who need someone else above them.
And then if they also have a decent, like, if they bring in Penix, he'll be able to at least support Adams. And then the guy that we're talking about, Jacoby Myers, like, I wouldn't shock me to see him higher because, like we saw how the Raiders worked last year. Like, I would be much more interested in that passing attack than like the Broncos passing attack or anything like that. So at least there's that.
If you had to pick a receiver, go ahead.
No, you're on.
If you had to pick a receiver off the board or on the board here, who finishes highest this season in this division?
The guy way over there. The guy in the Raiders.
100%.
Yeah. It's Devontae.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, let's assume that's the case, Jesse, where they get Penix in Las Vegas. How do you rank those 4 receivers between Devontae, Jacoby, Hollywood, and Rice?
I would do Javonte, or sorry, not Jesus, Javonte. I can't even talk. Devontae. Devontae is the better version. Devontae, and then I'm gonna take Rashi. It's gonna be real close. Because like we've seen what Mahomes does in that offense, but they've never really had a good third option. So like then you're deciding between Kelsey and Brown as like who you want to do. And I can't fade Kelsey, so I would probably fade Hollywood Brown. I would have him really close to Jacoby, but then I would have like I might add just like he'd probably be wide receiver 34. Jacoby would be like wide receiver 38, something in that range.
That's an interesting thing I hadn't considered, though, factoring in Michael Penix. I have 2 schools of thought there. Adams with a rookie quarterback. I feel like the rookie quarterback might pepper him, but I feel like if ever there was one of those diva receivers who's going to lose his fucking mind with a rookie quarterback missing him frequently, I feel like Devontae Adams has Steph Diggs potential here to just go. I mean, he was already pretty close to just say, fuck this, trade me. So. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a great situation. He seems like he'll be the guy throwing his helmet on the sideline when the quarterbacks missed him. The rookie Penix has missed him for the 3rd time in the game. So,
I mean, he was catching passes from Rod Favre last year. He's still on the team. So I think he'll be okay. But yeah, like to your point, star receivers like Adams, like you got to figure out a way to get them involved because like we saw when he didn't get the ball, he was pissed off last year, because he's the best one, like one of the best wide receivers for football. So he should get the ball.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moving
and the other thing
in this division.
The other thing there is, and that's my point too, is there's a lot of moving pieces and the draft hasn't happened yet. I'm not putting it past KC or Las Vegas to draft a receiver in the 2nd or 3rd round and have that guy get significant playing time. I mean, I think KC probably needs it more than most, especially with the Rice situation. A lot of people are putting, a receiver, mocking them in the 1st round. And if that's the case, is Hollywood Brown or Rice, if he's assuming he's back and has a normal, amount of playing time, isn't spending his time in jail. Is that going to be a situation for them?
If the Chiefs at the end of the 1st round draft a wide receiver and it's anyone besides the top 3, are they the number 1 receiver in fantasy or ADP in this division? Say it's, I don't care who you want, Franklin, Brian Thomas Jr., either Texas receiver. Are they the number 1 in this division?
In Dynasty?
Yeah, they would be the wide receiver 4, whoever it is. Like if they need an X wide receiver, they don't have that. So they're targeting someone like Brian Thomas Jr. or A.D. Mitchell at Texas. Like those guys pair. That's the dream quarterback for those guys because they need someone who's willing to throw those passes, right? So like I think that's an ideal spot. I'm going to be in on those guys. They'll be my wide receiver 4 locked in.
All right. Any final thoughts there before we move on to tight end?
I know we talked about Denver like trading up. What if the Raiders trade up for a quarterback? Like it's Tom Telesco. The guy just loves to spend money and throw stuff out there. He doesn't think long term. So I think if that happens, that could completely shift all of this for us because like they could trade up to the 4th quarterback. So I think that's interesting.
I don't want them to trade up. I put the Raiders in the realm of one of those franchises where I just assume everything they do, they're going to fuck it up. So I think if they trade up to get Jaden Daniels, I think I'm going to be lower on Daniels because I'm just going to assume, Daniels is a bust because they're fucking terrible at drafting quarterbacks. So it's like Cleveland. You assume Cleveland trades up and drafts Caleb Williams at 101. You assume Caleb Williams is a bust until he goes to Tampa Bay. Then he'll get a $40 million a year contract. That's just me. I have low faith. Well, it's like with the Steelers. You assume the Steelers draft a receiver on day 2. You assume he's going to be pretty decent because they have a fucking track record of doing it. So
yeah, people forget like they're pretty good with like wide receiver evaluation, but they still miss too. Like people don't talk about the bust they've had.
Calvin Austin, but exactly Austin was later, but
he's around 3.
So now we have an interesting one here. Redraft. I think this is. I guess it's interesting here, but Dynasty. We'll start with the big 2 in Dynasty. Are you already willing to take Brock Bowers over Travis Kelce year 1? I know Kelsey's getting old. Bowers, we're taking a lot of. Yeah. Okay. Everyone's you're going Bowers over Kelce.
Yeah.
I do not.
They'd be awfully close to my redraft rankings, to tell you the truth. If he's in LA and Kelsey's in Kansas City.
Yeah. That Bowers spot is super interesting. I don't know how they get Bowers and Franklin in Los Angeles.
First and second round.
If that happens.
First and second round.
The line's going to be a disaster. I'm going to be like,
that's true. I can't imagine. I mean, I know Blake Corum is the guy, and you even said that the mock is projected in the third round if he lasts that long. But if they don't go with Harbaugh at the helm, if they don't go, offensive lineman, running back, offensive lineman, I'll be kind of shocked here if they take Bowers.
Yeah.
Well, like in this scenario, they would probably getting Bowers. They're going to trade back, right? They're going to accumulate draft picks and then they take Bowers. So, like, I don't know. I'm kind of into that weird world that this ends up with. So, like, I would like to see how this goes because
let me see.
They need talent, man. They need talent. So then they get Bowers.
Yeah. No, the mock has them trading. 1 sec.
Yeah, I get the feeling
the
like
mock has them trading down to 10. The mock has them trading down to 10 for Bowers and then going Franklin Corum.
That's wild. Three offensive skill players.
I don't know who. I assume one of the other picks they accumulate in the trade down is an offensive lineman of some sort, but
I'm assuming they get another second round pick. They use an offensive lineman or something. Yeah.
So I guess you guys are going, I assume, the same redraft and dynasty: Bowers, Kelsey, Mayer, Troutman.
In redraft, I'll take Kelsey, but in dynasty, like it's not even close. Mm-hmm. I would have Bowers leaps and bounds above everyone else. And then I would have Kelsey just because Mayer is the third option. Like, I need him to be a top 2 option. Like, this is what Andrew Cooper talks about all the time, right? He's not the second option on that offense that I'm kind of worried. So, like, I would just wait with Mayer. And then I don't want Troutman, dude. Like, I much prefer Dulcich, to tell you the truth. But
who's the second option on the Raiders? Is Jacoby Myers still there?
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah.
Is he? Okay, I wasn't sure. There's been so much movement around this. Okay, he did. He restructured his contract. I thought he was gone.
Yeah, they need a quarterback that can support 3 options, and that's extremely difficult. So like until they get that, I'm a little worried about Mayer, to tell you the truth. Even though I think he's a good player, man.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, agreed. It's Kelsey in redraft and Bowers in dynasty, but with Mayer, I don't know. I don't think he showed enough last year. I know the situation was a struggle with quarterbacks there, but he would need to find a quarterback that really peppered him with targets. And with Devontae there and Jacoby, you're right. I mean, if you can trade Michael Mayer, I would trade him because he's going to be on this traditional tight end track where it takes him 3-4 years to hit because that correlates with Devontae Adams retiring. So
yeah, he only had 300 yards receiving last year. I mean, his snap sharing stuff was really. Like, it's just 70% snap share. It's not bad. He just didn't run the routes, though. Like, that's the problem. It's like 58% of routes. I'm like, dude, let him run the routes. He's better than whoever the other tight end is there. Just frustrating.
This is our third division preview, and I think this might be the best group of kickers we've had. This one's tough for me. I think I have it Butker, Dicker, Carlson, Lutz. And even Lutz at the worst, I think is maybe kicker 13 for me. So I think these are some good options. I know you guys aren't really kicker guys, but
yeah, I mean, I want the guys in good offenses, right? So I think Dicker's really interesting because I don't expect the offense to be anywhere close to as good as Kansas City, but I'm looking to see who was the leading scorer. I mean, Butker was he was kicker 7 last year. Dicker was kicker 8. And then
I thought Dicker was higher.
Well, I'm looking on I think it's points per game basis. Let me see. Yeah, I have him set up. No, total points. So Dicker at 151.
You know what? I probably stopped looking after the fantasy playoffs. That includes the whole year.
Yeah,
so he was probably first or top 3 the last time I looked. But
and then Lutz was kicker 22 and Carlson was kicker 24 last year.
Yeah, Carlson was bad last year, but I don't think he's as bad as he was. That offense just sucked. So
yeah, I think he'll be better this year.
Yeah. Here's what I know about kickers is you want guys in a dome. It doesn't look like we have that. I don't know what's going on in Las Vegas, but I think it's open
Vegas
air. Right?
Retractable
Vegas
roof, isn't it?
I've been to Vegas. It's a dome. It's a giant. It looks like the freaking Death Star.
Yeah, so is SoFi. Isn't SoFi in LA retractable?
Or it has like a opening, something like that.
I think it is.
Yeah, I know the opening, but
Casey and Denver aren't, but the other two I think are at least retractable.
I'm looking at SoFi.
But the other thing I was going to say is you want good weather as well. So that's what they have in Vegas and LA too. If they don't have the full enclosed dome, they have good weather, right? In Denver and Kansas City, it's a bit different. I don't want anything to do with Will Lutz, but I'll tell you what my process is. I'm going to take these 4 kickers, I'm going to put them in a bag, and then I'm just going to shake the bag, and I'm going to pick out of a goddamn bag which kicker I want because I don't care. Kickers can just, if you still have kickers in your fantasy leagues, enjoy that. That's not for me. But yeah, you can kick all these guys to the fantasy curb. I don't want anything.
You're gonna get stuck with Lutz in Denver.
I love how he pretends that's the
Sure.
way he picks kicker, as if he doesn't pick every position like that. All right, go back to your shopping, Hollywood Jack. That's it for today.
Calvin Ridley, 2024, baby.
It's on, baby. It's on.
What? His computer's cutting out. His computer's cutting out. Oh, what a shame. His volume doesn't work anymore. We can't hear Hollywood Jack and his Calvin Ridley propaganda. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Hollywood Jack on location here. Check us out, fantasyfootballuniverse.com, for all our written work. We've got some mock drafts and stuff coming out. All our rookie profiles are up, unlike the rest of the people who are just starting to put them up now. We are 150 deep already. Like I said, Fantasy Football Universe on any social media, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We are everywhere. Like, comment, subscribe, anything, follow. We hit you back on everything. We've got a series starting next week before the draft. We're going to do some roster audits, roster reviews for some of the listeners. So check back for that next week. The rest of the week, I think we're going to finish off the rest of these divisions here. We will be back again. Oh, actually, we will be back tomorrow at noon for one of these, but I believe we're going first at 10:30 a.m. We are doing a live 3-round mock draft on Sleeper with Pat Fitzmaurice.
Join us.
I will repost the link. If you want, go over to Fantasy Football Universe Twitter account and scroll through. Within the last day or two, the Sleeper link should be there if you want to join it. There are still room for a few people. I will also post it again once we're done this. So check back for that 10:30, the mock draft, probably live another division after that at noon. For Aaron, Jesse, and Hollywood Jack, thank you for tuning in to the Fantasy Football Universe. We will talk to you tomorrow.